Hey Pops, are you ready for today's episode?
I am ready. And I think for some of you, and actually I know for some of you, this will be the most impactful podcast episode of your life. It can absolutely transform your life because we're going to talk about ideas.
Yeah, but way to set it up as the most
It is.
of their life.
It absolutely, because one good idea implemented can absolutely change your life.
Okay, I agree.
We're going to go through some of the ideas that we implemented in the permaculture orchard, but looking broader, just the whole thing about ideas. Like I've spent, most of my life dwelling, thinking, planning ideas. I'm usually always 20 years ahead, and that's okay. I'm used to it now. I know that's the way it is. I know you've picked up some of those things.
Unfortunately, I'm actually trying to reverse it so that I can shut it off because for me, it's become a problem in my life currently. But yeah, for sure, 100% is just figuring out, okay, I get these ideas. Now, what do I do with them? Because I'm sure there's so many people out there that will have an idea and it's too big, too grandiose, too daunting to do anything. So it's like, okay, never mind, and continue on.
And for some of you, maybe you've been, I call it shot down. Maybe you've been shot down. I'll have something that will really help you if you stick around.
So did you always, because as long as I can remember, I've always been like that. And I'm sure I got that from you. Do you remember having these crazy ideas as a kid or something later on, like in school or even after that?
Yeah, I was very fortunate growing up in the country in the countryside. And I was basically given, not a wild child, but
Like free
just
rein.
free rein. You want to do something, go ahead, do it.
And you kind of did that for us too. For a lot of the things, it was like, okay, here, look, we want to do this. All right, well, this is what I have material wise. Like,
That's it.
do what you want with it.
I think being too constrained, school is the great constrainer. And, we're
I
talking
agree.
about that with cogs and how school really aims to just make you a cog in the wheel. And that's unfortunate. But before you go to school, before you get schooled and transformed, you really could. And so as a parent, I thought, hey, I really want you guys to just be free to try what you want. You have an idea, you want to do something that seems crazy, go ahead and do it. And that freedom to just
Like
try
express
it, just
even.
start, just express it. You want to try something, go ahead, try it. You have to know that with ideas, there will be failures, but not in the sense of, oh, it failed, in the sense that you try it and it just didn't work. It doesn't mean it will never work. It just means it didn't work that time, that way. And so look at it, adjust,
Tweak.
it, try it again. The YouTube channel is a good example. We've gone through, I don't know how many times let's just try it. Let's just try it. Let's just try it. And so I've gotten used to it. I know I can help some of you because you have to develop, it's like a muscle. You have to get a reflex that, oh, I got an idea. What are you going to do with it? When are you going to get it? There's times, there's places. How do you treat that idea? What do you do with it? These are all important points, and we'll get into them.
And I feel like now too, like when let's say I was younger, I would get these ideas, and if it came to me at the time and I would go to you guys and I'd be like, okay, can I do this? Sure. But then a lot of times back then, I wasn't writing them down. Whereas nowadays with our phone, you get an idea, you write it in your phone, like under notes. We both have that for different things. And then you come back to it because just because you have the idea now doesn't mean that you need to take action on it now. How many times like, we have a good idea and we pull it out like months, even a year down the line. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm sure we'll give some examples because I have a really good idea for the orchard that I've been sitting on for what, 4 or 5 years, and I've never seen it recreated. I don't think we're going to end up doing it. So if you stick around and you have an orchard and you want to do this idea, I think it's pretty good, and you could definitely take it, and hopefully it would be cool. We could even go and visit it, because I really, really think it would be like very good.
Well, let's just talk about it, because
well, you don't want to just.
I know. No, we'll jump. We'll bounce. So for some of you who want it structured and in a certain order, it's
all right.
That's really get used to it, because ideas are not structured, and it's not a progression of normal logical sequence. Ideas just bang come. So
we'll go against the YouTube algorithm here, and I guess we'll just give this away.
Let's just give this idea.
So you had come to me, about 5 years ago now, to do the virtual tour.
Right.
So we filmed 360. We did the virtual tour. It came out pretty good for the time, and you don't remember this, but you've recently sent me a link to somebody that just did it this year, and it's like the new thing, but we've already had ours for 5 years. But while we were doing it and I was learning all the technology back then, my idea was to have, what is it called, like a zipline up in the tree canopy. Because of the way that he plants his orchard, you have the nitrogen fixing trees, which don't yield a crop unless you're going to grow grapes or other things that you've spoken about. But the trees are way bigger than all the fruit trees. So my idea was to put this suspended catwalk, I guess you would call it, up in the tree canopy. You would have a wire overhead and then a wire below that the people would walk on, like a boardwalk.
Right.
And when you have people that come to pick, instead of giving ladders and all this, you give a very brief safety course. They clip onto the top wire so they can't fall, and they climb up in the tree canopy, and now you're able to harvest, or they're able to harvest for you, all the crop that you can't get to, or you would have to climb a ladder or hire people to do. And then to take it one step further, we were using QR codes. So I was saying that as you go in the tree canopy, you would have your catwalk, and then there'd be breaks that would allow you to go in between the two fruit trees, because you plant a nitrogen fixer, an apple, and a pear. So in between the apple and pear, you'd have a secondary catwalk that you could go out in between the two and pick from both sides. But then I was thinking even further is you could even put a little QR code that takes nothing, and people have their phones, they scan it, and it shows the variety of the fruit, maybe recipe ideas, and then people could leave reviews on that particular fruit. And let's say there's a recipe that involves this one and another fruit that's further down the line. As soon as you get there, pating, it would ping on your phone and say, oh, your second fruit for that recipe is right here. Pick it.
Yep.
And I've never seen it. And then basically you go to the end and you just zip line back to the beginning and you do that to the next row.
So just for those of you who are hearing this idea and you think, well, hey, wait a minute, there's elements. And that's an important point, because when you have an idea, you often have precursors to it. There's elements that triggered that idea. You go, hey, wait a minute. But the idea of a zip line, that's not new.
That's not new.
Okay. The idea of a treetop trail, that's not new, because in our area there are companies who do.
Oh, are there? They do.
Well, they do.
It's zip lines.
It's tree to tree trails.
Yeah.
So they take a forested area and they create basically like you were saying, a boardwalk in the up in the canopy, so you can walk from tree to tree like a trail, clipped in, and you go from tree to tree. So those elements are not new, but putting it in an orchard context.
And not only that, because the way that you plant with the permaculture orchard, you have the nitrogen fixing trees now are massive.
Right.
So you put something on that tree, you don't have to worry about it breaking or snapping or anything.
But I haven't just the idea was there. And it's important to realize, we'll get to that too, but the idea was planted. And so you get an idea, it goes in the back of your mind. Hopefully you note it down. We'll look at that too. And then this episode is proudly brought to you by my very own masterclass. Use code POP250 to save $250 off the masterclass bundle. Masterclass contains 11 different courses that you can buy separately. However, the complete Masterclass has you covered from A to Z, and it's really my life's work. Masterclass is the ultimate tool to help you start a successful permaculture orchard or planting. Not sure about how to start, or maybe you've already started, but now you feel you're stuck. Purchasing the Masterclass gives you access to the VIP group, where you'll be able to meet other like-minded, very interesting permaculturists and bounce ideas off each other. The VIP group is where I spend most of my time answering questions, and it's never been easier to get in contact with me or ask me a question. Want to learn more? Go to permaculture.study and start each course today for free. Don't forget to use code POP250. It'll save you $250 off the Masterclass bundle. And now back to the episode. If it doesn't just stay there on a shelf or in a book or in your phone, or so what I've done is I've since been pruning those nitrogen fixing trees in anticipation of.
Oh, well, now I just gave it away. I didn't think we were doing that.
No, yeah, we're well, one of them, when the idea came,
Yeah.
the trees really weren't big enough.
No,
yet.
that's why I had. Yes.
So in the future, yes, but I've been pruning them so that the trunks have gotten big enough that I feel confident we can put a trail. They're not going to pull over.
No.
They're not going to fall over.
No.
These trees, I mean, some of them are a foot across. They're plenty strong to support that. So have an idea, act on it, begin something. I always like to say, what do I like to say?
Just start. He always says it.
Just start. So you have an idea,
Do one row.
Do something. Just do something that you could implement, or at least get that idea moving, because that momentum is so important.
I agree. But that too, I remember in your marketing course, that was one of the things that you say is to like differentiate yourself. Like I said, that is a 5-year-old idea. I've never seen it done. So if you're one of the first people, and imagine if you're the first, let's say in Europe or the States or Canada, your next competition, even if somebody, if 3 of your viewers decide to do that, what are the odds that they're right beside each other?
Yeah. So the trail, the idea was one for picking, but that's actually, I guess, kind of the minor part, because we do have like a agritourism. People come as members. People come during tours. People come. One of the things with the trail will be just the view. You'll be able, because the rest of the orchard will be cut lower. So these trees will absolutely be, you'll be walking like, the idea is you'll be walking at the level, your feet will be at the level of the tops of the rest of the orchard.
Yes. And now imagine bloom season. So now you have different tools. So now you're even taking that idea and you're leveling it up, because you have harvest, but you also have bloom. So imagine you're up in a canopy and you see and because again, the way that you plant out the orchard, it's not just straight apple blossoms.
Right.
So you see the difference. You have all kinds of different color flowers in the spring. And I feel like that would be that's like another whole untapped, I guess, excursion, if you want to call it that you could offer.
Yeah, that's why we have the 2 tours, one in the spring. So it's the blossom, trying to get as close as possible to the peak bloom, which can be plus or minus 15 days. So we try to put it in the peak of bloom. And the other one is during harvest. So we have those 2 tours. And I mean, it's an added. It's just, for us, it would be, you have to kind of want to do it just for yourself.
Yes.
You have an idea. Oh, it sounds great. Do it for you.
I would want a zip line. That would be, it's pretty big. That would be fun.
Absolutely. And the height that you'd start.
It's perfect.
I think we could go from one edge of the orchard pretty well to the other edge of the orchard, just with that. Because once you're up that high, you'd be up about 15 feet.
Yeah.
So zipping in.
And like you said in the beginning of the episode, is like going back. One of the reasons why I got that idea too is because when we were younger and we would help you pick, I remember there was you can't get up there. You're like a little kid. So thinking of that, like, oh, I remember trying to come up with ideas for you, like nets and stuff, and so that's a different way of making it into something fun that then people could reach that without having to get on a ladder.
So try to encourage your kids to just freewheel, to just have ideas and don't shoot it down. Be receptive. Ideas will always sound crazy. Let's get on to the really what is an idea?
Well, even the idea sounding crazy thing now, there's so much going on currently with like AI. And one of the reasons why AI is so next level, I guess, is because it thinks like a kid. It like all the experts are like, nah, that's not going to work. But they don't even try it because in their minds, they're too advanced. So nah, that won't work. They just believe it. Whereas an AI will run every single like possibility, whether it's from a kid or from whatever. So an idea isn't an idea.
Yeah, AI. Maybe we'll leave that to another
that's
episode.
A totally different thing,
but AI is something. I really want to look at what is an idea, because it's an idea. Well, what is it? I like to look at ideas are inspirations. They're something that comes from where? Not from the physical. It doesn't come from, it's, boom. If you're reading it in a book, it's not really, it's an idea.
I mean, sometimes it can come from physical, though. Let's say you have a problem and you're physically trying to do something and you're like, well, there has to be a better way to do whatever.
Yes, that's the physical would be, this is the situation now. What could we imagine? What could we see? What could we
to improve,
to do differently? But you always have some kind of roots to the idea. There's some background to, hey, maybe we could, combine ideas, combine things so you can get ideas. Yeah, that's how really you build ideas. But if you deep dive, I like to really look at deep diving at it. You have a season. I like to look at, there is a season for ideas. There's a time where you could do intense study. You could just, a lot of people say, just binge watch videos. So you can do a period of just watch videos. You're feeding your subconscious to work on what you saw, and then you get an idea. Hey, I've never seen this for this situation.
For this, yeah.
I've never seen it applied in this way. So that's like a lateral idea. You see something done elsewhere and you think, I wonder, it would be interesting to try that, transfer it. So it's a sideways idea. And those work great. I mean, it's like, hey, it's already somewhat proven. So it's not like you're trying
from zero.
Yeah, right out of the blue. I have no idea. Even for the permaculture orchard, I mean, the whole idea of planting in trios, although I say it as trios, but Mollison in his book, he had actually suggested his chapter on temperate climate. He had put down where you put a nitrogen fixer, a fruit tree, a nitrogen fixer, a fruit tree. And I just tried to stretch that idea. So I took it and I moved it sideways.
And do you think you can elaborate on it now? Or that you're pretty much, that's the best recipe, you think?
Oh, you absolutely could. I mean,
you could do
and people have suggested that depending on your conditions, like for some areas of the orchard that are really the soil is really quite depleted, it would probably be better to have 3 nitrogen fixers.
In a row?
Yeah. And then a fruit tree. Because then you can use the biomass or the production of all the leaves and the branches, and you use that for that fruit tree, because in that area it's pretty weak. So you could, and some people have suggested, hey, in some, if you start in an area that's basically barren, there's nothing there, you may want to go with 10 nitrogen fixers for one fruit tree. So I just gave it as here's for my conditions, because you have an idea applied to your situation. And then can it apply to others? Well, that's another step. That's look at it and can it be applied for elsewhere?
That's one thing, though, that I like about or it seems to be like the permaculture. I feel like a lot of people are willing to share ideas.
Yeah.
Whereas there's so many other different, I guess, niches or whatever that it's like a secret. Everything's behind a paywall. Everything.
Well, I mean, since the digital age, really information has moved from the gatekeepers, people who, I mean, I grew up in an era where it would be in the newspaper, it would be in books, you could see it on TV, but a lot of basically trade secrets were kept because there was no, well, unless you wrote a book about it or you told a reporter about it, there was not really a way of how did they do that? Well, you know, they keep their trade secrets. And I could see there was a reason for it. There was a purpose for it because it gave them an advantage. But in fact, what we now see is if you share the idea, you end up getting more back because you help others with that idea.
Sure.
They try a variation on it. And then all of a sudden you go, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I never thought about it using it that way. So sharing ideas, it's that whole principle. You know, you give and it shall be given. You put it out there. People try it. I mean, gosh, the permaculture orchard, I really do need to make a tally of how many examples are out there, but it's in the hundreds now.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And so people have tried on us. You know, I say start with 2 trios. Just start. Just 6 trees. You can do that. And people have put in 50, hundreds of trees. I've got some emails. People are putting in like 3 times the size of ours or 4 times, like much bigger projects. And that's great because we need one to show it works. We need to have examples of it. And we need to see the scaling of it. You know, if you want it to grow, it's got to be able to grow.
At scale, yeah.
So those are kind of the basics of applying that idea. But coming back to the people, like, you know, how would you get ideas? They just come. Well, that's why I said an idea is kind of like an inspiration. I remember teaching about this. Inspiration comes from the word in the spirit. And that's why it's not really in the physical. It's in a different realm. It's in a different dimension. And that idea is something it's like I like to say an idea is like a vapor. I mean, you ever see a kettle boiling? It's boiling, take it off. No more vapor.
Stops.
So that idea is like that. And some people have basically shut off ideas and, you know, that's too bad. I've had it. I remember one time I had such a season. The ideas were just flowing. It was crazy. I would spend hours a day filling my journals.
I've seen it.
I mean, I have a bookshelf. It's 4 feet wide of books filled with working on ideas and it was such, you know, people said you're in flow, and it really can
Flow
be
state.
a flow, but not just a flow. Well, you know, I had it for a half hour or an hour. I had it for months, and it got to the point where I felt like, geez, I'm not getting anything else done, but I can't disrespect these ideas. And so I just keep putting them in there. And sometimes it was an idea from 2 years ago that would come back.
Yeah.
But I've since learned things. And so I incorporate it. And oh, look, that's a better variation. And sometimes I just go back to my earlier books and it's like I take it where I left off and boom. Oh, now I see the bigger picture of that. And so I can remember it got to the point where I felt really frustrated because I thought there is no way, even if I lived, you know, to
you couldn't
500 years, there's no way I could implement all these ideas. It's impossible. There's too many, and some of them are way too large. Like there were ideas, just one of them would be a lifetime. So I thought, why am I getting all these ideas? And it's not like forced. It was just, here they come. Are you going to catch it or are you going to let it? And anyway, we'll get to.
So I guess, how do you decide which ones to pull trigger on then? Like you personally, how did you decide if you get all these and you're like, okay, I have so many that I'll never be able to do this, but this one seems to really.
It comes down to focus. You know, I remember hearing somebody said, whatever you focus on grows. And so it was like it's this hydra or octopus. You know, there's so many arms. I could go in so many directions. And so one of them was sit down, look at all these different ones. And I remember doing like a mind map and saying, okay, here's this, and it goes to this, and this, and this. And I thought, okay, there's so many directions I can take. So I asked myself, which one most suits me right now? Like, which one really gets me excited?
Okay.
Because to work on an idea, to implement it, to start it and feed it and go with it,
you need to be passionate.
You need some energy.
I agree.
You know, there's not anybody behind you pushing you necessarily. I mean, unless you're doing ideas for work or whatever, that's different. But if this was something that it's just you have an idea, what will self-motivate you? You don't need somebody, you don't need motivation. It's just, I just really want to see this happen. So it's looking at yourself. What am I most suited to now? And what will I need to grow into? Some of these ideas, I mean, there were ideas that, I mean, just the idea of that I had coming out of school was to do landscape architecture for birds. And it's like, this is, I mean, it's got to be, you know, we've got to work on this. They've got to do this. So, of course, just start. So I just started, set up. I remember I set up, registered a company while I was still in school. I started working on the business and still going to school. And it was like, well, this is just got to be done. And yes, what would this be? Late 80s. So looking at it now, man, timing?
Not it.
Now would be so easy. Back then, you know, if you're saying, yeah.
Well, that's it. It's so niche, and how are people going to find it? And do I care? And
right. So nowadays, sure, do videos and so on, put out social media posts. It's so much easier now. Back then, it was a great idea, but it was 30 years ahead of its time. So that whole timing thing, you can have an idea. It can be for in the future, the short future, the medium future, or the long future. So ideas, it's like they're time neutral. I'm sure Nikola Tesla had ideas that were for 100 or 150 years from now. So you can have ideas and they can be there, or you can get them. The timing could be pretty well right. And I say the right timing is
right place, right time.
A bit ahead of it. You're a bit ahead of it because there is a momentum to build. So if you have an idea and you think, well, it's not really the right time. No, it's the right time. Because if you get just ahead of when it seems like, wow, that seems like it makes so much sense, you're in a position. No, then you're in a position. If you started, say, a few years, could be a few years, could be a few months ahead of time, you're going to catch the wave. Because each idea, basically, it's like a wave. There is a time where, man, this is the moment. Like if I had started a company to design for birds today, I would be on the wave, on the crest.
Again, it's not a waste because, okay, you were quite a bit ahead of time, but now you've actually taken, I guess, what you learned,
Yes.
and now you're applying it.
Right.
And we even see that with the YouTube videos. Seasonally, those are the top performing videos, which have nothing necessarily to do with the orchard, but you've implemented both. So you've kind of taken both ideas and, like you were saying, you've melded them together.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a time. I mean, everything has a, to everything there is a season for sure. For an idea, you have an idea, there is a season. You're either really ahead and I've noticed ideas for me that are really ahead, it's because you're not ready. You get the idea, but you personally aren't ready to do, not to do, but you're not ready to be who you need to be to implement everything involved in that idea. And that's important because I guess I look at it as ideas are given, they're given from the Spirit. And God knows when you will be ready. You're not ready today, but if you're given the idea, what I find, it's kind of like a coat rack. An idea is like you're given a new coat rack. You got all these pegs that are empty. You have one coat. You hang your coat, but you got a lot of other pegs. And if you get that idea early enough, then you kind of go through life and you go, wait a minute. I know exactly where I could hang this coat. And so you put it on the next coat peg. And then you go, it might be months or years, and all of a sudden, wow, I know where this can go. And it goes on your coat. And so you're filling your coat rack. And then when it's almost full, you realize, okay, now I'm ready. I'm like, you get it longer because you don't know what you'll need as coats to put it. You don't know what the weather will be like. It's going to be a blizzard out there. Or do you have the right coat? But you might have a time where it's so hot and dry. Do you have something for the desert conditions? So you don't know, but an idea knows. And one point that is important about ideas is they're never given just for you. Like you get an idea, like you got the idea for the treetop trail. But that idea is an idea. And if it's an idea that should be done, because you can get ideas that should it be done? Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's important that should be done, it's given to several
Multiple people.
Yes. Because some people, how many people have gotten an idea and here's that vapor, they see it.
I'm sure there's a lot of people.
And it dissipates. And by tomorrow, try to remember that idea. It's like you didn't write it down. You didn't capture it. You didn't do. No. And I remember you telling me, and I had to chuckle. You said, yeah, I was in the shower. To the point where, let me prove, I've had to actually seek like actual help because my brain just doesn't shut off. He's embraced it. For me, it starts to get a little borderline, like too much. But do you remember the one? Because
I don't remember because it happens all the time.
But there was one you said, I had such a great idea, but I was in the shower and I didn't bring something so that I could note it down. Yeah. And by the time you came out and you dried off,
I forgot.
You forgot what
probably.
It was. And I thought, I was laughing because I thought, probably. Well, there you go. And so how do you treat an idea with huge respect? And I learned that when don't say, I got this idea. I can remember so many times driving and having to pull over, grab whatever piece of
to note it down.
To write. And you don't have to write.
No, bullet points.
At most. Often all I had to write was give me 3, like a title. Here's the title to that idea. Because as soon as you'd hear that title, and the rest of it flows. Yeah. But if you forget the title, you're cooked. Like, no, it's frustrating. I've had that where I just did not have a way of writing or capturing it.
And you know it's a really good
and you
one
know
too.
it's a good one, and it's like, I lost it. So if you want ideas, start by respecting the ideas you're given.
And now that, like I said, I'm trying to learn how to kind of stop it, I'm sure there's people that, without even knowing, they just forcefully stop it. Like they're not even willing to receive the idea. But it's one of those things where you don't realize it until it's brought up and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I do that, you know? Whereas if you're just open about it and then for some reason it just, they just pop into your head, like daydreaming. How many of us spend hours a day just probably daydreaming, but we don't even realize we're doing it? So there's so many people that are like, I wish I had an extra hour of my day. Well, you do, but you're just out in the moon thinking of whatever, and you probably get a bunch of good ideas, but it's like we're on autopilot. That's how I could describe it. And we don't even write anything down just because we're so used to it. We don't even acknowledge it.
I would ask people listening or watching, just try it. Try it for 10 days. Try it for a month. When you get an idea, just stop whatever you're doing and capture that idea. I mean, nowadays, gosh, with phones, you really, it's so, you usually have your phone. Okay, you have your phone. You can take a vocal note if you prefer to say it. You could take a voice note. You could write down a note. You could send yourself a text or something, I guess. You can
email,
absolutely capture it. So, and have a way of finding it after you've captured it. Like I went through, I think I have 2,000 notes on my computer.
I believe it.
And it's just because for me, I'm often, whether it's my phone or the computer, and they sync. So it's the easiest way to write down I got this idea. And for us now, a lot of times it's, I got an idea for a video.
Or I'll be talking, he's like, oh, write it down. I'm like, okay, well, I'll remember it. How many times have I told you that?
I'll remember it, yeah. Please don't. Please don't say you'll remember it. Because if you start that trend, so do it as an challenge, as an exercise.
Yeah.
If you start capturing it, you'll be amazed how many more you will get. Because ideas go towards those who are receptive to them.
I mean, another thing too, you could correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like it goes back to, like you're saying in the beginning, the education system. We're kind of taught not to think. We're taught that, like, okay, we just listen to this and, oh, you have this idea? No, here, this is the textbook.
Yeah.
You know?
Regurgitate. Just tell me what I've told you.
And I feel like, well, we've recently spoke about it, but it's like, it's kind of like it's designed to keep us there, because as soon as people start thinking that's what they say, think outside the box. But like, realistically, think outside the box. And how many of those people that do that have become super successful? You know, they're not working for somebody else. They're working for themselves because they've thought of different ideas. Whereas everybody else that's just been preconditioned to think a certain way ends up working for the guy that was the guy thinking of the idea.
Yeah. That's why I said you don't need 3 feet of idea books. You don't. You need 1 or 2 ideas that you implement. And it doesn't have to be earth-shattering, but it could be absolutely transformative for your life, where you are.
But it could also, that snowball effect. You have one idea, you take charge, and then you're like, oh, well, look at that. That worked out well. Like, let me go back to my list of 2,000 whatever things. What else do I have here, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so useful and it's so valuable to do this.
And again, nowadays, like what we have available now in our pockets, whatever, compared to what we had 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, the likelihood of that a lot of these ideas could actually become something is increased exponentially.
Well, give you an idea of that. I remember thinking, geez, all these idea books I have, and sometimes there's 3 ideas on one page because it's just
Too much.
It's just
all at
in a
once.
flow. And I thought, how would I ever go back and find? I was thinking about.
Oh yeah.
So, like you're
Hieroglyphics.
saying, nowadays you just do a search. Give me one keyword on,
Yeah.
could be the treetop trail. Oh yeah, here it is.
Yep.
Treetop trail. Look at that. I had 12 ideas that I wrote in whatever my notes. Here's 12 times that I talked about that.
Yeah, your old school books must be terrible.
I would have to scan them. They would have to have character recognition because it's all written by
I don't know,
hand.
man. He has hieroglyphics. He doesn't even know his notes. What was it? Preparing for this podcast, like it was just a big thing because he doesn't even know what his code words and this and that mean. But
that's where just realize that we're all unique. I've grown to be comfortable with the way my brain works because you know what? It's not the way everybody's works, but I know how it works and I know that in the end it works out. So it doesn't matter how you, I remember walking into one of my favorite professors in university, Dr. Stuart Hill, walking into his office the first time, and I thought, oh my God, how does this guy ever find anything? Like, I'm a piler.
oh, you took
right?
inspiration from that guy.
I'm a
That makes
piler,
sense now.
but I saw somebody who would be pile squared.
No.
I mean, you could barely, there were stepping spots where you had to step to get, like he had to step
No
to get to his
shot.
desk. Every pile was at least 3 feet high. But I went in because it was whatever, the end of term, and I wrote a paper. And
Okay.
he said, oh, Stefan Subkowiak, okay. And he just walked over.
There's a method to his madness.
He could retrieve anything
Okay.
in 10 seconds. He would just go kind of flick through the pile. He knew that it would be around here. He'd flick through 4 or 5 papers. Oh, here's one. There,
Was it in alphabetical order?
I don't know how he must have, he had some system, but I thought, oh my God, how can you find? But he could find. So that was to me like what looked completely chaotic and disorganized worked for him.
Okay.
So that's where I kind of got comfortable with thinking the way I do, where I know I'm scattered.
And how's that working out for you?
Nowadays, much better because it's a lot easier to search through and find past things. Let's look at where and when to get ideas. I was talking before about you're in the shower. Everybody has optimal time, optimal place where you can get ideas. Because you ever notice, hey, I got an idea. What were you doing? Where were you? And so what I found, and I've talked with a lot of people about their ideas, and so usually it's a time when your logical mind will be occupied.
For me, it's driving.
Right.
I'm at work driving my patrol car around, and I'm just, like you said, I've gotten ideas. I'll pull over and I just take out my phone and I'll write it down and keep going.
Why? Because when you're driving, your logical mind is occupied. I mean, your eyes are looking all over. You're swiveling your neck. You have to be attentive logically because there are threats and there are dangers. And so you're looking. So what that does is it occupies your logical mind, and then your creative side of the brain, 2 sides, is kind of, he's busy right now.
Let me take over.
Let me come to the surface. And that's really what it is. It's which brain is working on overtime. So if you get your logical mind kind of fully occupied, and you can't kind of feed it more stuff right now, and it doesn't compete with your creative side because it's busy. So now your creative side goes, oh, good. Okay. Now you can do more than one thing. People think, oh, multitasking, Well, you can if the tasks are opposite brain sides. So some people have said, yeah, it's when I'm preparing a meal. So you're cutting with a knife and you're, and the pot's going and the fry pan's going. And so you're logically, you're occupied, you're preoccupied. And then, like, where did this idea come from? Well, that's it. So there are moments. For me, it's driving, it's walking. Go for a walk, go for a hike.
Yeah.
You're busy. You don't pay attention. You could trip over. You think, well, no, I'm on automatic pilot. Yes, but there's still a logic part that is occupied. Those are my two biggest ones. And actually, then there's times of the day. So for me, it's morning.
Me, it's right before bed, man. It's getting bad. It's annoying. Like, I can't fall asleep. Like, you're just have all kinds of ideas and you're writing them down, but then...
And how many of them relate to what you saw or what you listened to during the day?
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely an influence, or like we'll be talking about something and then it'll just pile up or whatever, but that's what I mean. I feel like everybody has that possibility. Yeah. It's just, I feel so many of us just don't even accept it. Like, it's just it through one ear out the other.
Yep.
And then we might be ruining this for people, because then as soon as they hear this or they're listening to this and they're like, oh, I never thought about that. As soon as they get that one, I feel like it's that snowball effect, and it's going to be one thing after another after another.
It's like I said, it doesn't take many. Get to one, capturing your ideas. That's absolutely. And actually, we could take a step back, because some people, I don't know, I don't get ideas. And there are blockages. I know people who have had complete blocks because they've been shot down in their idea.
Okay, so it's
it's an emotional scar, because they thought, oh, I was so glad with this idea. I told it to the teacher and they embarrassed me. That's a stupid idea. It's so crazy. And they embarrassed me in front of the whole class or somebody at work. Hey, we could do this and have everybody laugh about it. It's like that public speaking. Why is public speaking the greatest fear? Because people have been probably emotionally scarred and humiliated. And that was so painful that they don't want to engage in it. And the same with an idea. You've had something you've said to someone.
That makes sense.
Or to many people. Yeah. And your reaction was so contrary, because when you get an idea,
like, you were so excited about it.
You're giddy. You think everybody else will be giddy.
Yeah.
And honestly, oftentimes it's to me, it's the majority of the time, you will be absolutely shot down. It's like, what are you talking about? You can't say it. You can't. So it's personally to you. You can't do that. Yeah. Or that's a crazy idea. It'll never work.
Yeah.
Why? Because you've got to realize, you get an idea. You've got some backstory to it. You've been feeding yourself to get this idea. So you got some background that grounds that idea.
Mm-hmm. Whereas the people you're sharing it with,
they don't. Yeah. It's like, what?
Well, what's the saying? You're a combination of the 5 closest people that you associate with. So that too is big. Like, feel like we're pretty fortunate. We have a decent circle of a bunch of us that think like that. So even if you tell me an idea, I don't have the background, but I can see the vision because I see how excited you are about it. So I'm like, okay, you know what? This guy seems like he'll put his money where his mouth is. I would invest with this person, you know?
Right.
Because it's the passion too. Like you're saying, your idea it's a winning idea, not if you're using it to make money, but if you're using it because you're passionate, you see a real world use, and you're going to put in all that energy, the money or whatever else you're expecting will come later on.
Yeah. And often it will attract it, because it's like the fuel that ideal needs.
Yeah.
And you don't have to force it.
No.
It will attract the nutrients, basically. That's why I always...
It's like a seed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ideas, I remember teaching about this as well, and it's like an idea, the best comparison to an idea is a seed. And the more I've studied and looked at nature, the more I go, wow, ideas are seeds. Like you started off as a seed. You go, no. Well, of course you started as a seed. The seed was in your father, was shared and combined with your mother, and it produced you. So everything starts as a seed. And you look anywhere, give one example of something that wasn't a seed. And it's always amazing because I've looked at so many seeds, and sometimes I look at this seed and I go, this is such a small seed, and yet it can become such a huge tree. And it starts as this tiny little seed. It makes no sense. It's like, how can this become that?
Yeah.
And then you get seeds that are huge to start with that become a plant. But it's like, look at some of the beans, you know, they're big seeds. And yet you look at the plant and it's like, yeah, okay, you know, it's a plant. It's, let's say, multiple times the size of the seed, but not
in comparison,
millions of times bigger.
Yeah.
So an idea is a seed. And there is a YouTube channel where the guy does time-lapse photography of a seed germinating. Yeah. I don't remember the channel name.
No, but there's a couple of them that do it. Yeah.
Maybe you could put a link.
I don't know if I'll be able to find that, but I know what you're talking about.
And it's what I find most useful is to see how a seed grows. And the way a seed grows is the way an idea grows. So what you see when there's a seed first it starts, there's nothing, right? The seed is dormant. So there is a period where a seed is dormant. And it's the same in an idea. You get an idea, it's dormant. It's just sitting there. And it can sit there for years, for hundreds of years. In fact, they've found seeds that have been thousands of years, and they've still been able to get the plant to germinate. So a seed can be dormant for a very long time. It can be dormant beyond your lifetime. And some of you are probably going to carry seeds or ideas that you'll never implement, but that would still be viable if ever you decided to plant that seed or just start. So that just start is important because you can have the idea, you can think about it, you can meditate on it. But until you just start, which would be the equivalent of planting that seed in the right conditions, and that's important too. But the first thing that happens is not, oh, you see something growing. No. So that time-lapse video channel, you really see the seed. Progression. Yeah, the seed is there at the surface. And if you looked above the surface, you don't see anything. But because they have a glass, and you see the root going down, and the root, forming side roots and branching out under the soil. But all this time at the top,
you don't see anything.
Nothing happens. So I liken it to, there's two phases to an idea, and you really need to know this, but also respect it. So there's a invisible period. And that's the period where you planted the seed. You started. It's not public. It's not visible. You're not sharing it, but it's taking root. And that's so important. So you let that seed put down a root, start branching, start looking for nutrients. It needs things to feed it. But it starts off, everything is in the seed. And eventually, once it's gotten to the point where it's established enough, now it starts to move and it starts to send up a shoot.
It's ready to break out.
That is the public phase, I call it. Now you actually see something. And it's very fragile at the beginning. I mean, you take a little seedling and you play with it and you'll probably kill it. But the better the root is established, the more it will withstand being beaten up.
I agree.
And that's why when I said some people have been shot down in their ideas, is they probably got the two mixed up. They got excited. They had an idea.
Ran to go
and they wanted it. Hey, and usually, and people mean well, But usually you go to people who you trust, but not who necessarily you should trust with a new idea. You trust your parents, you trust your teacher, you trust maybe your boss or but they may not be prepared for your idea. It's like, well, that's an outside the box. We don't, we're not thinking of it. And that's why, like I said, I was aware of this. So how I wanted you guys to develop your ideas was just go with it. Just let it happen. Let it develop its roots. Let the top come up without coming around and trying to cut it off before it even gets started.
Yeah. But I mean, even now, I find all three of us are pretty much like that. Like, we do things behind the scenes, but like, especially social media and everything. I have people ask me all the time, oh, you don't post this. I know you did that. How come you didn't post? Because for me, it's like I'm just growing down the roots. Like, you don't need to know what I'm up to until I'm ready to show everybody what I'm up to. That's just how I've lived my life like that. Like, I'm very private. And then when the idea's above ground, that's when you'll know.
Yeah. Just really consider that public and private period. Most ideas get killed because you should still be in the private phase.
Yeah.
And you're wanting you're wanting that plant to be visible. It's not, there is a time for
yet.
each.
Yeah.
It happens quite quickly. Like when you see that plant germinating or that seed germinating, it's putting down roots for a few days sometimes.
Yeah, they put the date, like the number of days.
But then when that day hits, boom, all of a sudden it's starting. Now it's starting the beginning of being publicly visible. So that's why I say, ideas are seeds. Treat them as a seed. There's places to store a seed. If you store a seed in the wrong conditions, it will lose its viability. So how do you treat your ideas? Oh, I just write them on a piece of paper and,
It gets thrown in the recycling.
It got put in recycling. Yeah. Well, what were you doing? You were discarding or disregarding what that seed actually needs. Mm-hmm. So treat it with respect. Treat it as something living. And that's, we think, well, it's an idea, but it has a life of its own. In the seed, there is everything it needs. I was listening to John Kempf's Regenerative Agriculture podcast, and he was talking with a guest, and they were saying how each seed has millions of microorganisms in the seed. It's like, wait, what? That was the first I heard of it. But it has bacteria, it has fungal strands, it has everything it needs so that when it starts to do its private phase, which is go into the soil, it actually has the community it needs to create the conditions it needs to survive in that situation. It's like it brings everything it needs. Elon Musk wants to go to Mars, but he said Mars will not survive until they have everything they could need if the ships stop getting there. So it's like that. It's a seed, and you have to have everything that seed will need to be able to survive in that location.
I mean, we don't want to make it sound too daunting either. Like you get your idea and you run with it. But I feel like that's one of the things, like you were saying, as soon as you get that one and you take action on it and you get it, you're like, okay, well, what else do I have on my list of 2,000 things? Just a quick question for you. Out of your 2,000 things, what I guess is the one idea that you haven't gotten to do that you would like to do?
Oh, the biggest one for me is the greenhouse barn house.
Okay, that's what I figured. Yeah, because he's been talking about this since I was a kid, and I remember seeing the plans. And so, why haven't you done that? I guess, is it like the financial? Is it you're still not sure of how it will work, or?
Well, one is to put I've had hundreds of details go into it, and I found that as I kind of think about it some more, it's basically a building that would be at least 3 stories, but that would have animals, basically a barn at the ground floor. It would have living and work area in the second floor, and it would be a greenhouse on the top, but it would also be surrounded on at least on 3 sides by a greenhouse as well. But the idea being that the animals would provide the heat. We're not in a warm climate here.
No.
I mean, we have the coldest day today of the winter. It's minus 20 outside. So how do you have plants growing in the winter in our climate? Like, you need serious, and the biggest cost in our climate for running a greenhouse is heat. And, you know, where I was saying about you get tidbits. And I'd had this idea for a long time. It started actually when I was in Poland, and my uncle had a traditional house, which was the house is attached to the barn.
Okay.
And I remember going and being in the kitchen, and the door was open, and you're in the kitchen and you look over and you see the cows. And it was like, wait a minute, they're in the barn, but I see them. And that was a traditional.
That's to heat the house?
That was to add heat in the winter.
Oh.
Because it's amazing how much heat one cow puts out. So I've done some digging in it. And each cow, an average cow, is the equivalent of 1,000-watt heater, which is a normal large space heater. Baseboard heater here we have. That's like 1,000. So I don't know, my uncle had 3 cows or something. So that's 3,000 watts of power turned on 24 hours a day. And I thought, wow, you mean, and they were up in the Carpathian Mountains in Poland, and it was cold in the winter. I mean, that's the coldest part of Poland. And I thought, wow, they figured out a way to basically use what is a waste or looked at as a waste. And in fact, when I look at our monoculture thinking, and we have barns, and people have a barn and they put in huge fans to vent the heat out. And it's also to vent the CO2 out. And what those plants need in the winter?
CO2.
You know, CO2 enrichment. In fact, greenhouses burn a lot of natural gas to increase the CO2 level by up to 10 times, but usually about 3 to 5 times. So you're using an energy source. Yes, it heats, but it also adds CO2 level.
To the plants, yeah.
And it's like you have animals and you're now venting that heat and you're venting that CO2 out. I went to see a neighbor near the farm, and I walked in the it was too cold to prune. I went up to prune and it was like, man, it's just too cold. The trees were, usually my limit is minus 10. Below that, the branches kind of snap. Yeah. You hit them with the chainsaw and they just shatter. They break off. And so I thought, oh, you know what? No, too cold today. I went over to see Alan and I walked into his barn. He had about 60 cows.
It's like Florida.
It was minus 15.
Okay.
I walk into the barn and it's like, geez, it felt like it was 12 degrees in the barn. And I look and he's got a 6-foot fan, 2-meter fan.
Blowing the air outside.
Pushing the heat from inside, pushing it out. 2 meter. And then he's got all these windows along one side, one wall, all open.
Jeez.
And I'm thinking, wait a minute. He's got, it's like you're almost outside. It is a barn, so it is some closed, but there's so much open. And yet it was, I mean, I could have been, took my hat and
or whatever.
Could have been in a little sweater and I would have been absolutely comfortable.
With everything opened up.
Yeah. And I thought, what? Like, that was kind of really the spark that I thought, my goodness, if we could harness this energy and this CO2 for plants in the winter, it would be bonus. And then the idea of sandwiching, so basically sandwich a living workspace in between where it's just a heat exchanger. So you're not venting the barn into the house, but you are extracting the heat out of it. Mm-hmm. So some of the heat, because you're going to, even in the winter, you'll have
too much.
You'll have more than you need. and you'll even be able to vent the greenhouse. So it's like, what? That seems pretty crazy. Anyway, so that I've thought about that for a long time.
Just again, to put into context, how many years do you think you've thought of this? So this is what we're saying. Like, just because you have an idea now or whatever, doesn't mean you have to act on that specific one right away. So how many, because I've known about this idea. I've been, I don't know, when you were 4 or 5.
When you were, 3 or 4, it's at least 30 years, more than that.
Now you're telling everybody my age, but yeah.
Yeah. So I remember playing with you guys with Lego and deciding I'm going to build the greenhouse barn house.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And out of Lego. And it was like, well, here it is. And I remember asking you guys, which one's going to be your room? And you guys would choose which was going to be your, where you wanted to be.
Well, I remember too, you tried or you had started. And then what happened with that? Because
I tried techniques so I have the idea. Yeah. But then, okay, well, what do we make the walls out of? What do we make this out of? And so that refinement has been going on for 30 years. Why? Because remember I said this coat rack. Mm-hmm. So I have the ideas there. It's a huge coat rack, but I got a lot of pegs to fill with. I have to choose, what am I going to use to make the walls?
Okay.
What technique am I going to use? Because the idea wasn't to build one. It was to build many of these greenhouses. So how do I do it in a way that, 1, I'm really not depleting the planet, 2, it's something that ideally can using a waste, but also using a waste resource. So that would be even better. Anyway, there's so many elements to it. And so I'd try something. Like you said, I tried building out of straw bale using concrete.
Yeah.
And it was like, geez, this is not what I thought it was. And so it's not taking a step back and step forward and 2 steps back. It's, that there is refinement to it. There is a time and you're working on it, but you can change it. There is a point at which, yes, I will absolutely pull the plug. I'm not pull the
trigger.
Yeah, I'll start. I've started in my head for a long time.
Yeah, you really have.
But I also don't want to borrow for it like I did for the farm.
Yeah.
I used everything I had to buy the farm so that I didn't have to be slave to the bank.
In debt. And
so debt is great, but if you're trying something completely new, unless you want to do a venture capital system or so on, that's fine. But I like to be able to experiment, try, test on my own. It's like, I'm taking the chance. It's coming out of my pocket. And I've had tens of thousands of dollars of things that I've tried that didn't work. And I'm okay with it. It's my money. I want to try something. And if it doesn't work, I'm fine with it.
And you share it with people.
Yeah. Now it's like, there we go. It's pieces of the puzzle.
And even at that, I guess then, because he's so passionate about it, worst case, it doesn't end up happening. I've seen you over the years just genuinely happy about thinking about that one thing. So even if it doesn't happen, that's hours and whatever that you've been happy about talking about it. Like he gets excited. And
well, I've said it several times and you've lived it. I don't live in the present.
Yeah.
People say, you want to be in the moment.
No, and I've said it. He really doesn't.
For me, in the moment, I am in the moment. But my moment is 20 or 30 years from now. I'm living, I've walked in the future so much. I know what it will be, at least in certain areas, not for everything for sure. But in certain things, I know exactly what will go on or what will come if I have any part to play in it. So that's where, for me, being in the moment is, okay, I have an idea. I play with ideas. I don't work on ideas. And that's like the magic model in the masterclass. You have to play with it.
Show them how to do that. Yeah.
You have to be like a little kid. I've never grown up in the sense that I still freewheel with, ask a kid to imagine something. There's no difficulty at all. So for me, that's what it's been. And really, it comes back to my father. I remember sitting on the gallery with him in the evening because he would sit there and have a cigarette. At that time, everybody smoked. So he'd have his cigarette and a cup of tea, and he was... And I remember sitting there quietly with him, and I said, "What are you thinking about?" And he just started to explain to me a machine that he was working on. And to him, it was like, it's like, to me, I saw it like a film. He had it in his head like a film, and this is going to go with that and this and that. And he could just describe the whole thing.
So this just gets passed on generation to generation.
It does. But it allowed me to see that just because you don't see it now doesn't mean it's not real.
Okay.
So for me, that was the real kind of aha
moment,
about an idea, was that you can have something, play with it in your head, let it just run for me, I'm very visual.
Like
so
a movie.
It runs like a movie.
Yeah, that's how I am too.
You see it, you imagine it, you see scenarios. You can have it go this way, try that. No, that road didn't work. Try this path, go there, and then try that path. And so you can have your idea go through in your head, play it like a movie, try different scenarios. And then, you know what? There is a time where you go, okay, now I'm ready to have that idea be visible publicly. And for my father, it was always building things. So I remember growing up thinking, oh, if I have an idea, I'll build it. So I have an idea for converting a little rubber dinghy into a sailboat. And it's like, yeah, okay, go ahead. Oh, I have an idea for building a tree house, but not just the tree house. I'll build it three stories. Or building a 2-story house. I was 12 years old. I built, it wasn't a big house. It was the size of a shed, but it was 2-story, to the point that from the time I started till the time I had finished it, I grew and I couldn't go through the door without bending over. I thought, well, geez, I didn't think about that.
See, and then you passed it on, because we used to do that too.
So really that whole, it's a journey. You need to take your ideas, respect them. Please respect them, because if you disrespect ideas, you'll basically stop the flow of ideas.
Yeah.
And you don't want to stop the flow. You don't know what idea will absolutely not just transform your life, which that is a great one, but your loved ones, your future family in some cases. There is an idea. And like I say, they're given to several people, each idea. Why? Because
it's a good idea.
A lot of people will disrespect it. But are you going to be the good soil? And that's where, the parable of the sower, it really applies. Ideas are seeds. Are you going to be the good soil? And if you've had idea paralysis because somebody absolutely squashed your idea, embarrassed you, scarred you emotionally, there is something that works. It's called forgiveness. And some of you just need to say, you know what, I can absolutely remember the time or the place or the person. Then in your heart, you just need to forgive them. Just whoever it was, or all the people, just forgive them. Take that, put it aside. It's done. It's in the past. Forgiveness absolutely works. God forgave us. We didn't deserve it, but he still forgave us. So you need to forgive that. You can forget it too then. It's done. And start anew. Start receiving ideas. Build your soil. Make it amenable. How do you do that? Well, you take care of the ideas. You start by noting them. You start by being open to them. Even say, hey, you know what? I wasn't. But now I want to be receptive to ideas. I want to be able to do something with the ideas. I know for years I was closed. I would get ideas. I wouldn't do anything. I'd disregard them.
Yeah.
I want to be open to ideas. And it's a process. It starts, and let me tell you, because I've lived it long enough, there can be times, there will be perhaps moments hours, days, or longer, where the idea will flow to you. And it's given to you for a reason. Be receptive, be open. And then there comes a point where once you're rooted with that idea, let it become visible. Just start.
Well, I can't wait to see what other ideas you're going to come up with. But for now, I hope everybody enjoyed that, and good job, Pops.